can't really add on what was said here. I can just share a couple of personal stories, memories. And it's true, and last night I got a message that the rebbetzin asked me to say a hesped. I was a little bit on the nervous side because I have never done this before. So I prepared, and now I'm just going to talk from the heart. We were all together many years ago in a very special place at a very special time in a very special yeshiva, very special rebbeim. We were a kevura, a kevura. And part of what I prepared, I saw that in the Maharal and Sefer Chasidus, it says that a kevura is not just people that come together, eat together, sleep together. It's people that learn Torah together. Our neshamas are together, our neshamas are united. And that was quite a long time ago. But the impact that it had on myself on a personal level always stayed with me. About 35 years ago, I was in America, and I had heard that Chaim was recuperating from a serious health issue. And a good friend of ours from the Chabura, I was in Brooklyn with him, our good friend Moshe Weiss, drove me to his house. And honestly, I was a little bit apprehensive, a little bit nervous. I didn't know what kind of shape he was in. And when I saw him, I was a little bit shocked, to be honest. And in order to break the ice, so to say, Chaim, with his smile, he said to me, I want you to know I had some treatments in a hospital in Seattle, Washington. And my brother, my older brother, who's a Lubavitcher Chassid, a shliach there for many, many years, made sure then that in Seattle, Washington, 35 years ago, he had kosher food for himself, for his family. And what he was telling me is Hakar Satov, thank you for that. He appreciated it. It made me feel so, it gave me such a great feeling. It was incredible. But that really encapsulates what Chaim was. People who spoke here before, and I was listening to the Levaya from yesterday, G'dayli Rosh Yeshivas and Mechanchem and Mashpiyim said things that I certainly can add to, but I can say personally, Chaim was also a chavrus of mine in yeshiva all those years ago. Chaim also learned with me for a tkufa Thursday nights. And even though at the time we were newly married, we had a bunch of little kids in the house, in the apartment in Sanhedria Mochevet. Sometimes Chaim noticed things, and very quietly he mentioned them to me, and they made a big influence on us, on myself and my family. Also, I was always makir tov to him for that. A number of years ago, this was probably weeks before COVID broke out, I met Chaim in Yerushalayim. He wanted to know if I had any suggestions for a place to send the girls who were part of his network, part of his lave, part of those who he made a everlasting change for. See, because with Chaim, there's no such thing as somebody who was off the derech. No such thing. For Chaim, every single holy neshama, every single holy yid would just desired to find their own derech. Chaim was able to see that, and every one of his talmidim. I heard about Minyan Shelanu from Chaim. Just one other personal story. Shortly afterwards, I found myself in New York, and I decided that I wanted to spend Shabbos in Lakewood. So I called Chaim. I figured, since Chaim was ben biased by us all those years ago, when we were in Sanhedrin Mochevet, I called him up and said, Chaim, I'm coming to you for Shabbos. He said, fine. I came to him for Shabbos, And I said, Chaim, I heard so much all the years about davening in the yeshiva and BMG. I wanted to daven there for Shabbos. And he said, before I take you there, I want to take you to the shul that I daven in. Came into a shul, nice shul. In my impression was there were hundreds of people there. It was Friday night. Everybody were dressed as B'nai Torah. The davening was beautiful, very soulful. And he asked me as we were walking out, he said, what do you think? I said, wow, it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Let's daven there tomorrow also. He says, all those people, I don't know if we said every one of them or most of those people, were all avreichim at one point and they're working now. And it's a kehila where people learn before davening. They learn at night. On Sundays, there was a serious seder. And I was so impressed. It made a very big impression on me. After all these years, Chaim was a very special yid. And I can say that in my mind, Chaim was one of the Gedolim. Yes, he was one of the Gedolei Yisrael. Because he recognized and he practiced and he exuded a tremendous amount of Avos Yisrael for every single yid. Especially those who came in contact with him had the schus of being connected to him in a yichud nifla in Minyan Shelanu and everybody else, and all other people that came in contact with him. I just want to share something that I saw on the Sfas Emes on this week's Parsha, which really encapsulates who Chaim was. One of the most famous Rashis is the first Rashi in this week's Parsha, Minyan Shmita Eitzel Har Sinai. Very briefly, I saw that Sfas Emes says that Har Sinai, Matan Torah, was a once in world history event where it was so apparent and obvious that the Shekhinah was with us. So apparent that we saw almost those who were alive, and like the Medrash says, we were all there. So the Ein Sof was there. Everything came from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKol B'dei Shemayim. It was so easy. After Matan Torah, that's when the challenges began. We began to see the physical realities of the world. But there was Matan Torah. Matan Torah showed us clearly. That's Matan Torah. Ein Od Milvadoi. And then we get involved in every day and working and what we're doing. And the Torah tells us on the 7th year, stop. We all stop. And for those of us, I happen to have a son-in-law who lives on, my daughter and son live on a moshav, and he works in the fields. And yes, he stops. Baruch Hashem, their moshav is Shomer Shemitah. And what does that tell you? That tells you that, once again, it's a reminder, it's a wake-up call that everything's from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But it's more than that. And this is my takeaway. My lesson for the godless of Reb Chaim. What was ever left in the fields, the field was hefker. The field was hefker, and anybody could come and take, especially those who were less fortunate, who didn't have. On a spiritual level, that encapsulates who Reb Chaim was. Chaim was literally, as we heard before, by him his whole being, his whole mahus was hefker, in a good way. For those that had less spiritually, for those that needed him, for those that wanted him, and he was always there for everybody. So now, Chaim, you have to finish up your work. Now you're going to be by the Kisei HaKavod. And as we said before, you have to say, die to our tzaros. It's enough. Rabbeinu Shalom, it's enough. Mashiach has to come. And Mashiach has to come now. And we don't have to be ashamed to say so and think so. We really need Mashiach now. And Chaim, that's what you need to do. And you need to do it ASAP. You should be a meilus yosher for your rebbetzin, your family. Those are your biological children and your spiritual children, and all of Am Yisrael.